Hi, I'm Russell Ford, founding partner of FordMurray, an immigration law firm based in Portland, Maine. And you found this video because you were searching how or when do I need to re-verify an employee's I-9? Before we get into that topic, just wanted to cover some basics. This is an I-9 Bootcamp series where we offer different how-tos in the I-9 process, ranging from re-verification to specific visa categories. So if you have different questions, certainly check out the other videos to get some answers. But if those videos don't answer the specific question you have, ask us in the DM, send us an email, give us a call. We offer complimentary consultations. We're happy to try to walk you through those specific questions and see if we can get you to a place where you feel comfortable about that particular topic. Today, again, we're going to re-verification: when, how, where, all of the fun stuff of what is re-verification? When do I have to re-verify an employee? And the big issue really when we're talking about I-9s and re-verification is who? US citizens, lawful permanent residents, and then your List B identity documents, driver's licenses, things of that nature, never have to be re-verified. And we point this out not so much with US citizens, but more on the lawful permanent resident and identity documents, although identity documents for US citizens do come up. We get the question of, oh, this employee's driver's license is going to expire in 2 years, or this person's lawful permanent resident card expires in 3 months and I've just hired them. Do I have to re-verify? Even though a lawful permanent resident or a US citizen has a driver's license or has a permanent resident card that has an expiration date on it, they never have to be re-verified. And the answer to that, or why that is because as a permanent resident or as a US citizen, they have an uninhibited right to live and work in the United States. And because of that, you as the employer don't have to worry about, can they work? Are they authorized to work? Because you know that incident to their status they are. So don't re-verify those folks. So who do I re-verify? Well, I just got through telling you don't re-verify a lawful permanent resident. And then the very first thing on my slide for re-verification is a lawful permanent resident who's presented an I-551 stamp. This is the only scenario where this is going to come up. And it happens very, very rarely, but it does happen. And so this is why we want to point it out. Some permanent residents, especially now during COVID, where getting cards renewed or being able to obtain the card in a timely fashion, etc., has been a little more difficult. They will go and get an actual stamp in their passport as temporary proof of their permanent resident status. That stamp, because of regulation and other things, does need you as an employer to re-verify that they got the actual card in the mail at some point in time. So if you see this stamp, and we've given you example here on the slide, that is the one time a lawful permanent resident will have to be re-verified. Otherwise, it's going to be EAD cards. It's going to be non-citizens with temporary work authorizations, H-1Bs, J-1s, TNs, etc. Before we get into what do I do, how do I do the the re-verify, let's talk a little bit about just some best practices that you can have as an employer to help you keep track, because this is probably the one place more so than any other that trips employers up in the I-9 process. Employers just may not have a large population of folks who require re-verification, and because of that, they lose track. They fail to notify the employee in a timely fashion that they have to come in with new work authorization, come in and show that they are continuing to maintain eligibility to work. So how do you avoid that? Maintain a tickler system, put it in your calendar, have a monthly, bi-monthly audit where you look at all of your I-9s and you go through those and find the 5 to 10 folks that are coming up in the next month or few months and ask them to come to you with new documentation. We try to counsel our employers to give employees at least 6 months notice, especially now where H-1B extensions, TN extensions, L-1 extensions are all taking an excessive amount of time through the USCIS. Notifying an employee at least 6 months in advance that they're going to have to re-verify their I-9 documentation gives them time to get a new EAD card, get a new H-1B, get their L-1 extended. So maintaining that tickler system and giving your employees enough time is key to making sure that A, you're staying in compliance, but B, you're helping the employees to avoid gaps in their employment. So where does the re-verification take place? Re-verification always takes, well, not always, but it should take place in Section 3. I say not always because if you've already re-verified an employee and their I-9 Section 3 has already been completed, you could elect to do just Section 3 on a new I-9 form for them. You could elect to do a new I-9 form, etc. But 90% of the time, you're going to do re-verification in Section 3. Section 3, you're going to put the individual's name. You're going to put the date that the employment, it says date of rehire. That's only if the person is an actual rehire. If it's not an actual rehire, you're going to put the date that the new work authorization began. If they are a rehire, then you have to look at the I-9 rehire rules. If an employee is rehired within 3 years on the date of the form or when the I-9 was originally completed, then you can do a rehire in Section 3. If it is longer than 3 years, then the employer requires a brand new I-9. The other way that you might do a rehire or fill out the Section 3 is if an employee goes through a legal name change, then you can note the legal name change in Section 3 as a rehire. If you hire that former employee, you want to enter again their name, the dates, when their new work authorization began, the type of work authorization. Now, the type can be different in the sense of if you've got an H-1B worker working for you, their H-1B is coming up for expiration, they may just extend that H-1B and do a new H-1B approval notice. And if you remember from our H-1B Bootcamp I-9, it's going to be their passport and their I-94 card. Or it might be an employee who's working with you in H-1B status who's moving through the green card process and they've made it to the adjustment of status phase. And now they've got an employment authorization document. And that EAD card might be their new work authorization document. So as you do the re-verification, pay attention to the documents that are being presented to you and make note of those documents properly in Section 3. Every EAD card needs to be re-verified because every EAD card has an expiration. Right now, it's taking between 4 and 5 months for EADs to be issued. So going back to our best practices, if you can let your EAD holders know 180 days in advance that their I-9 is going to be up for re-verification, it could give them an opportunity to get the EAD card extended in a timely fashion. The EAD is one of those areas where a receipt notice can serve as work authorization. You have to be mindful of the receipt rule. We cover that in another one of our video series, and we can give you more information on what that receipt rule is. But for the most part, EADs, you want the new EAD card or at least the receipt from the government saying that the EAD has been requested. And then for your non-citizens, H-1Bs, L-1s, TNs, etc. These individuals, again, they have to be re-verified. You want to maintain that tickler system to give them enough time to get that documentation that allows them to submit the re-verification. For these individuals, most of them, if it's an extension of status going H-1B to H-1, L-1 to L-1, they can work pursuant to a receipt notice from the USCIS. They can work pursuant to that receipt notice for up to 270 days while they're waiting for the H-1B to be issued. As an employer, relying on that, documenting that, re-verifying the 270 days, and then re-verifying a second time when the H-1B is actually approved can be a bit of a hassle. It's doable, but if you maintain that tickler system, give them the 6 months, chances are they'll have the approval in plenty of time, and you won't have to rely on that rule. The employer, when relying on that receipt notice, like I said, when you're in section 3, you're going to make note of the receipt number, the date that the receipt was issued, so that you know that it was timely filed, and you're going to hold on to that receipt, and you're going to make a note in your system to re-verify within 270 days to say, hey, I've got to go back to this employer and make sure, or employee, and make sure that H-1B has been approved. When you check and the approval has come in, then you update the I-9 again on section 3 with now the approval notice, noting document number that they've been approved and when the expiration is. So section 3 allows you to complete all of the information that you need for an employee. It's protracted here because, again, you're filling out section 3. So section 1 and 2 have already been completed. The employee's information is there in terms of who they are, their birth date, etc. Section 2 has been completed in terms of they're a non-citizen authorized to work for a certain period of time. Presumably their passport information is already on there. So most of that information is already contained in section 2. So section 3 lets you do some protracted information and just really focus on those work authorization documents. What are the documents that says this person is able to work in the US for a certain period of time? So the re-verification process, just to sum up, is one in which you're only looking at work authorization documents. You're not focused on identity documents. You're not focused on US citizens. You're not focused on US lawful permanent residents. You're more focused on those folks who in section 2 of the form, you've checked box 4, an alien authorized to work for a certain period of time. Those folks are going to be your re-verification folks. And those are the folks you're going to focus on maintaining a tickler system, giving them notice, getting their work authorization extension documents filed in a timely fashion so that you as the employer can complete your I-9 in a timely fashion and make sure that you're staying in compliance with the rules and regulations surrounding the I-9 process. I know we've covered a lot of information here. We've tried to cover this different specific questions in our different video series for the Bootcamp on I-9s. Check out those other videos for other specific questions. And like I said at the beginning, if those videos don't cover it, certainly shoot us a DM or send us an email and ask us those specific questions. And we do offer free consultations for those types of situations. But if your needs are a little more, if your needs are a little heavier, you've got, you want to do a full-scale I-9 training, or you want to do an I-9 audit, you're just not comfortable with where your I-9 forms are, or you're not comfortable with your tickler system or how you're storing your I-9s. We do offer full-scale I-9 audit services, full-scale I-9 trainings where we will review each and every one of your I-9s, make corrections, offer you a detailed report outlining why those corrections were made, the common mistakes that you're making, how to avoid those common mistakes, and then provide a backup training to your HR folks to try to avoid those common mistakes in the future, to get your I-9 process to a place where your HR folks are more comfortable, all the way down to what we call a mini audit, where we'll do 25 to 50 employees, write up a detailed report on that mini audit, and give you a training on how to do a self audit of your I-9 documentation. Look at what you can do as an employer in the I-9 process to get better at it. We can all get better at things, and this helps us get better at the I-9 process. And it allows the employer to take more of a hands-on approach to their I-9s and the audit and the corrections and so on. We do that because different employers have different needs. Different employers want different things in the process. And this, as a firm focused on strictly immigration, this service, our size, the way we work with our clients just gives us the ultimate flexibility to create an I-9 program, an I-9 training, an I-9 compliance that fits the employer's needs. Appreciate your time and have a great day.